Welcome, friends. If you're here, I believe it's for a reason. Something in you knows there's more to healing than just medications and symptom chasing. Autoimmune conditions can really feel like total overwhelm, like your body has all of a sudden turned against you and there's nothing you can do about it. But here's the truth. It's not your body being broken or something wrong specifically. It's really your body speaking to you. And together, we're going to learn how to listen because that's the part that we've not been told how to do. Your body is always talking to you. And some of us have been to the doctor over and over and over, and no one else is listening to us, right? And so we're told, that's not what it is. And yet our body is talking. But before we get started, let's do a little bit of breath work. And so if you'll just take a moment, move a little bit, just, whatever you need to do to feel better, find those tension spots. Take some deep breaths. Yawn if you need to. That helps to calm the vagal system. Focusing on our breath. Taking our mind off of all the things in our world that are keeping us busy, like everything, right? Relaxing as we exhale. Maybe putting our feet flat on the floor. Just, okay. Now we're going to take some deep breaths and we're going to exhale them out through our mouth with a sigh. Deep breath in. Hold. And exhale with a sigh. When we inhale through our nose and exhale with a sigh. This allows our body to know that we're okay. Now we're safe. Sends a signal to our vagus nerve to be calm. Wonderful. When you're ready, you can open your eyes and join me. We have a lot to talk about today. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can make this a little bit bigger today so that we can see the PowerPoint presentation. So I want to ask everybody a question. Have you ever had like a swollen ankle where it's red and swollen and hot? Yeah, that's inflammation and it's doing its job. But imagine if that fire never goes out and it's all through your body. This is inflammation, most of you know, and today we're going to explore autoimmunity through what is our body doing? What is it telling us? Why is this not my body attacking me, but rather asking for help? And that's really what it's doing. So autoimmune diseases or disorders, depending on who you talk to and what you're reading on the internet, because I know every one of you are doing that, occurs when our immune system mistakenly attacks our own tissues and our own organs. Now, this happens when inflammation is chronic. Chronic meaning it never goes away. And that chronic immune or inflammation creates a signal to the immune system that says something is wrong. We have to go find what it is, and we've got to go kill it. And that inflammation also breaks down tissue and it breaks down organs. And so then it's the antibodies are looking, the immune system's looking for those areas that are weak to see what's causing this inflammation or this health issue. And this creates an autoimmune disease because it's looking for something in itself, and what it finds is tissue that's been inflamed for too long and has started to degrade, or areas of weakness. Like for those of you in my family, we had thyroid issues, and my mother had thyroid issues and her mother had thyroid issues. And so when my body went into autoimmune disease, it began looking for the weakest point, and for me, that was my thyroid. And different people, I've met with people who have problems in their spine, where they had weakness in their spine and it attacked their spine. And so the medical community has created names for all of these different ones. There's over 100 different types of autoimmune diseases that have been given a name. But the reality is if you don't get rid of that inflammatory response and those antibodies, they're going to keep looking, and you'll end up with 2 and then 3 and then 4 different autoimmune issues because it still hasn't fixed the problem. So it's going to keep looking. But to give you a little overview, there are joint and muscle disorders like rheumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, lupus, systemic sclerosis or scleroderma. There are nervous system disorders like MS, myasthenia gravis, and Guillain-Barré syndrome. There's endocrine disorders like type 1 diabetes, Graves' disease, and Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is what I had. There are skin disorders like psoriasis, a different form of lupus that only attacks the skin, eczema. There are digestive disorders like inflammatory bowel diseases, Crohn's and ulcerative colitis, celiac disease, and Addison's disease. And then there are others that don't fall into those categories, but Sjogren's syndrome, vasculitis, or inflammation of the blood vessels, autoimmune hemolytic anemia. We see this in young people where they can't keep their red blood cells strong. Immune thrombocytopenia purpura. Yeah, say that 3 times really fast. Okay, and more. But what's important to note from all of these is that some people may have one or more of these autoimmune diseases at the same time. And this is because a single autoimmune disease happens when the body finally finds something to attack. But when it doesn't get rid of that inflammatory response, a new autoimmune disease will be created. And also, many new autoimmune diseases are being identified and classified every day. If you can imagine how many areas of your body can be attacked by your immune system, that's how many autoimmune diseases or disorders there can be. They just haven't found them all yet. But that's a lot. That's a lot. So we're going to start with a case study. Some of you may have heard this case study. Some of you have experienced this case study or something similar. So this client presented with lupus, primarily with skin lupus, where it's attacking the skin. She had skin flare-ups, fatigue, brain fog, joint pain. And after beginning traditional allopathic treatment, she had a single round of their treatment, and the client was hospitalized and unable to continue with conventional protocols. Now, I had worked with this client for a while before, and she had done really, really well. And then when she was diagnosed with lupus, after kind of falling back into some of her bad habits, and then contracting COVID pneumonia, which really threw her into this. She could not take the regular protocols that the doctors were trying to give her, and it made her very, very sick. And she ended up back in the hospital. So at this point, we decided to come up, she contacted me again and decided to come up with an integrative care plan that was developed to address the root causes of her autoimmune and support her body's natural healing processes, right? So let's look, and for those of you, you can download a copy of her case study. So that is available to you. And I want to pull it up here so I can look at everything and read it out to you. Okay, so we started interventions. Let's see. We started interventions. We started dietary support. We did a food sensitivity test, identified some inflammatory triggers, foods specifically. So then we were able to create an anti-inflammatory diet, and it was designed for her specifically, and it reduced her immune stress and promoted stability for her microbiome. We used some very targeted supplements that helped her introduce healing to her gut microbiome and restore her immune function. And this included some probiotics, some prebiotics, some vitamins, minerals, and amino acids that we give and recommend for everyone. And we did something called green glasses therapy or green light therapy, where we use green tinted and full spectrum green tinted glasses that were prescribed for her to use every day. And we know that exposure, science tells us that exposure to specific light frequencies has been shown to help balance the nervous system and the immune system, specifically green light frequencies. Can you imagine how healthy Adam and Eve were walking in the garden and the light shining through all of those green leaves? Yeah, okay, I'm sorry, I digress. I get excited. We also started weekly treatments of pulse electromagnetic therapy. We use a pure wave device because it's one of the level 2 devices rather than a level 1 massage device approved by FDA. And we also will, we do the pulse electromagnetic therapy frequencies through our bioscan device as well. So we have two different ways that we can do this. For her, at the time, we were using the pure wave device as an adjunct to boost her mitochondria activity. And these were weekly. Eventually, we shifted to bi-weekly sessions after the first few months. We also did auricular therapy. Auricular therapy is what I teach you guys in the classes, where you use a golf tee and find the tender points on the ear. There's a specific treatment that I'll get into more in depth during these class sessions to help you know how to implement this particular therapy treatment for autoimmune. It's very specific. And then there's also a device called a point of select that is used to identify and treat active points in the concha of the ear. We use a specific frequency, the Noget B frequency, and it's applied to our vagal points, or the points on the vagus nerve. And these treatments, this auricular therapy treatment, they calm the body's stress-driven vagal response, which is what often causes that inflammation through our body. And so it becomes, when our vagal response becomes overactive, then the gut microbiome becomes unhealthy when it's over a long period of time. We do some coaching and counseling. So each session we include a combination of therapy, lifestyle coaching, health coaching, psychoeducation, which a lot of that is in our classroom, and talk about different therapeutic interventions. And so this helps to improve the outcomes and provides guidance, accountability, and therapeutic interventions to help with mindset as well. So after about 3 months, we had started every other week. And then after about 6 months, the client was able to return to work, which was huge because she had had to work from home very part-time and was sitting in a recliner and spending most of her time working in the recliner because she just was exhausted all the time. And let's see, long-term plan includes monthly maintenance sessions, um, daily use of the green light, diet and supplement protocols as needed as she moves forward. Improvements that we saw were reduced flare-ups, better energy, clearer thinking, and the joint pain and was almost completely gone within the first, 3 to 6 months. And now after 2 years, she is working full time. She's running her own business, which she was also still trying to do before. On the side, she's raising several children. She has a blended family, so lots of kids there. She still has some difficult days, but has learned to become very in tune with her body, and she's able to recognize when she needs to rest. But overall, she has very few flares, and she's very aware of her triggers. So, she is able to work now. She's doing great. She actually tried to make herself really sick, okay, so that she could go to the doctor and be able to show that, she still needs family leave, only she couldn't make herself sick. So, I think that's a plus, even though she doesn't get family leave anymore. But I think that this was huge for her. And this is the same type of results we see fairly regularly when we incorporate all of the different things that we can incorporate into our program. Because somebody said to me, who's not here tonight, but one of my clients said, I've been doing all the diet stuff. I've been doing all the stuff that I'm supposed to do. I've been taking my supplements. I've been making sure my microbiome's healthy, but there's still something missing. And she's right. There is still something missing. And what's missing is those other integrative protocols that we do, not just dietary and supplement, but the green light, the PMF, the auricular therapy, and just basic accountability and coaching to make sure that you're continuing to do those things are all very, very important. So tonight we're really just doing an overview so you can understand how all of this works and some of the things that we do and a little bit of knowledge of what autoimmune is. So our immune system's job, of course, is to defend and repair, right? In autoimmune disease, that system gets confused. It's not sure, instead of fighting infections, it starts attacking our tissues. It's not sure why you're still in this inflammation. And so it's looked at everything else and there was nothing else. There's got to be something. This is how it fights cancer cells. Okay, when there's an infection and it goes and it says, oh, I have to attack the cancer cell. When our immune system is strong enough to do that, it keeps us from getting sick. Or if the cancer cells have attached themselves to a part of the body, the immune system will actually go and begin to remove it and to kill it. But it really isn't random chaos that we're feeling in autoimmune. It's really miscommunication because it isn't cancer. It's inflammation that is raising these red flags and is saying something's going on here, body, human, I'm living in your body. Something's going on here, and you need to look, you need to listen, you need to pay attention. So our immune system is our body's defense and repair. Autoimmunity is just a miscommunication as the defense system turns inward. And this is not random. You are not broken. And the body needs balance. And you need to be heard. Because that's the thing where most of our regular medical system falls short. They do not listen. Ladies especially, you will just be told there's nothing wrong, all of the tests are normal, just take this because you're obviously stressing out. And they give you an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety medicine, and it's really not helpful. So who does autoimmune affect? Well, I'm going to go back to here. 80% of, striking fact, autoimmune cases occur in women. Why? Well, hormones like estrogen and progesterone are deeply tied to our immune activity. And other things like stress, pregnancy, and even monthly cycles can play a role in that. When we start to add genetics and environmental triggers, trauma, suddenly women are carrying a much heavier load. Guys, I know you're working hard and I know you have a big load, but you really don't have the load that the ladies have. Our load is much heavier when we're care providing for all of our children and our spouse and our home, and more than likely also keeping a job. Most men would struggle doing all of those things. But ladies, here's the big piece. It's not diagnosed for 12 to 15 years in us. If a man gets an autoimmune disease, it can be diagnosed within one year, but not for us. Why? We have a mechanism in our body that says, don't kill the baby, right? And so every time we have an inflammatory response and we have antibodies that show up, the body will only allow it for a certain length of time, and then boom, it quashes it and makes it go away. All those antibodies are gone. That's why many people who are diagnosed with a full-blown autoimmune disease, before they get that full diagnosis, they have positive and negative test results. You have an autoimmune, you don't have an autoimmune. You have an autoimmune, you don't have an autoimmune. And they get this over and over and over. And the reason is because the body keeps flushing away or sloughing off those antibodies. Why is it doing that? Because it can't kill the invader if it's a baby, so it will only kill for a short time, and then the body says, nope, go away. It will do this repeatedly for 12 to 15 years. And then it finally says, there's something there, and it's not a baby, you'd have had it by now. So hormones and stress and genetics. Many common conditions that are seen are Hashimoto's, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, MS, and psoriasis, very common. So we have to start looking for the early signs and even misdiagnoses. Many of us have experienced this: fatigue, brain fog, skin issues, digestive problems, joint pain, and then you're told, it's just stress, you're fine, take this pill. But too many of us, especially us ladies, suffer for years, as I said, 12 to 15 years, before we ever get a diagnosis. We're misdiagnosed over and over and over. It's just in your head, you're a hypochondriac, you're stressed, let me give you an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety med. That's why this education is so important, because symptoms are signals. They're signals. They are your body's language, not a sign that you're broken, but a symptom that says there's a problem. Hey, fix this, do something, but no one's teaching us what to do. And we're misdiagnosed, and we have these symptoms that no one believes are there. Well, I'm listening. I know. So let's look at the iceberg as an analogy. Imagining our iceberg, Above the water is a diagnosis: Hashimoto's, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis. But what's below the waterline? That's where the real story is. You know, doctors are treating Hashimoto's, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis. They're treating symptoms, but they don't treat what's not showing. They're not treating the underlying or the real story. And what is that? The gut health, the diet, the stress, the trauma, toxins. There's a huge amount of stuff now about microplastics and everything. If we only focus on what's above the water, which is what the medical community is doing right now, we miss the true cause and we miss the true healing. Healing means going deeper. Healing means going beneath the surface. Healing means addressing the root, or that giant section of iceberg that is still under the surface, under the water, unseen. So tonight, I want to tell you, this is just an overview. We'll get into all of those things that we did with her and explain them all and teach you how to do them for yourself as best we can. But the good news is this: there's hope. The body can heal. I've seen people reverse the fatigue, the flares, reclaim their energy, and live full lives again. When they shift focus from symptom suppression to root cause healing, our immune system wants to come back into balance. It just needs the right environment. Your body can heal when the root causes are addressed. Natural therapies support your immune system in balance, and many people are able to reverse the symptoms and reclaim their energy. So what's next? Oop. Tonight is just the beginning. In the next sessions, we're going to dive deep into the heart of healing. Session 2, we're going to uncover how gut health and your immune system are inseparable, why 70% of your immune system and your immune cells are living in your digestive tract. Many of you who've already followed me, you've been hearing this, right? You've been hearing this forever. But if you haven't heard this before, this is amazing information. In session 3, we're going to explore foods as medicine, and foods which inflame, and foods which restore balance. In session 4, we're going to expand into some powerful natural therapies like the bioscan, auricular therapy, and light therapies. These modalities give our body signals to heal. Each week, you're going to walk away with tools that you can put into practice right away. The gut and immune system, the gut health and the immune system, that's our root of our healing. That is the deepest part of that iceberg. We're going to look at food as medicine. We're going to talk about diet and leaky gut and inflammatory foods. We're going to look at alternative therapies, just like I mentioned. Each week, you're going to get practical tools to bring your body back into balance. So tonight, I want you to remember one thing. Again, your body is not betraying you. It's speaking. Over the next sessions, we're going to learn how to respond, how to create healing conditions, and how to walk this journey together. And the best part, you don't have to do this by yourself. We want you to take this step 1 week at a time together. Your healing journey starts here. Are you ready to listen to your body? Because that's what we're going to learn to do. All right. Thank you so much for coming and listening.